Members, the Senate will come to order. Senator Dziedzic.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there a privilege report at the desk?
There is a privilege report at the desk. The Secretary will read the report.
Senator Dziedzic from the Subcommittee on Conference Committees recommends that the following senators be, and they hereby are, appointed as a conference committee on House File Number 2, Senators Mann, Maye Quade, and Kupik. Senator Dziedzic moves that the foregoing appointments be approved.
To that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members remaining under the order of business of motions and resolutions, we will revert to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Members, there's a committee report to read at the desk. The Secretary will read the report.
Senator Murphy from the Committee on State and Local Government and Veterans, to which was referred Senate File Number 1949, a bill for an act relating to gambling, authorizing and providing for sports betting, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows. And when so amended, the bill do pass and be re-referred to the Committee on Taxes. Pursuant to Joint Rule 2.03, the bill was referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration.
Members, pursuant to Joint Rule 2.0, Senate File Number 1949 will be referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration. Again, no action is required. Remaining under the business of motions and resolutions, we'll revert to the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House has adopted the recommendation and report of the Conference Committee on House File Number 1999 and repassed said bill in accordance with the report of the committee, so adopted. House File Number 1999, a bill for an act relating to state government appropriating money from outdoor heritage, clean water, parks and trails, and arts and cultural heritage funds. House File Number 1999 is herewith transmitted to the Senate. Signed, Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Hurd for the motion.
Mr. President, I move that the foregoing recommendation and conference committee report on House File 1999 be now adopted, and that the bill be repassed as amended by the conference committee.
Senator Hurd moved that the foregoing recommendation and conference committee report on House File 1999 be now adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the conference committee. To that motion, Senator Hurd.
Mr. President and members, the Omnibus Legacy Bill is House File 1999, a good number fitting for arts and culture of Minnesota, especially this year when Purple Rain and 1999 intertwine, and thanks to Prince. The bill left this body several weeks ago and now coming back with even better language. The Legacy Omnibus Bill is a result of high voter support of the Legacy Amendment in 2008. There's a fourth theme or category in legislation language. The four category are the Lasar Sam Outdoor Heritage Fund, which received 33% of appropriation, the Clean Water Fund, which is now at 33%, and then the remaining fund go to Parks and Trail and Arts and Cultural Heritage Funds, which are arranged as articles. In a general sense, Mr. President, the Legacy Bill left the Senate with direct appropriation, and we were able to secure most of the direct appropriation and accepted House language for the most part in our negotiation. I will summarize the language as applied to the articles. Article 1, which are Outdoor Heritage Fund, the language requires roughly 1/3 of the Conservation Partner Legacy Grant appropriation be directed toward applicants that have never applied to this fund before. It also gives instruction to the recipient of Outdoor Heritage Fund to consult with DNR in terms of education and training. It also increased the per diem of our public members of Outdoor Heritage Fund to $125, and that per diem increase is to our public members is across the board in many areas in this bill. Article 2 pertain to clean water funds. We accepted the House language to provide opportunities that encourage diversity of students to pursue careers in environment and natural resources. The language also requires the Clean Water Council to improve outreach to our cultural and diverse community in Minnesota. Article 3 is Park and Trail Fund. The total funding under this article is $130.41 million, with 40% going to the Metro part, 40% to the DNR, and 20% to the greater Minnesota. This has been an equation agreed upon with council that set up very, very early on after the 2008 approval of the Legacy Amendment. Under this article, we also require that state part receive legacy funding, provide at least 4 days of free admission to the public. In Articles 4, the Arts and Culture Heritage Fund, we maintain most of the direct appropriation, as say earlier, and that go to culture group, and we also maintain add-on a few projects, that are veteran related. One in the Senate particularly is the Forest Lake Veterans Memorial. So that's pretty much summed up the omnibus bill legacy and the House File 1999. And members, I ask for your support.
Any additional discussion? Senator Eichhorn.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the conference committee for the work you guys did. Unfortunately, the bill is back in a worse form than when it left our chamber. In 2008, Minnesota voters voted to fund things that I think we all can agree to, things we all want to see done, such as protecting drinking water, which this bill doesn't go far enough to do, protecting, enhancing, and restoring wetlands, prairies, and forests, which this bill tries to accomplish by purchasing land and taking land off the tax roll, which hurts rural communities, rural counties, because it completely impacts their tax base. It's supposed to preserve our arts and cultural heritage in this state, but spends money in controversial ways by pitting Minnesota groups against each other. Minnesotans voted for 1% on their sales tax when they go to purchase things. And unfortunately, this is one of the most partisan legacy bills I've seen in the time I've been here. And Democrats are making the case for people to vote against this when it goes back on the ballot again in 2034. Some of the biggest disappointments are the great amendments that we got on in this chamber to protect the people's money. Language that would prevent organizations or corporations that had civil or criminal sexual assault or sexual harassment judges against them within the last 24 months was removed in conference committee. Language that would have denied funding to projects that promote domestic terrorism and criminal activities was removed. Now our legacy, our tax dollars will be able to be used for those purposes because those protections are not in place. The grants management review process for nonprofit grants for recipients was taken out. Think feeding our future. We're going to be feeding more fraud with this, unfortunately. Language stating that money appropriated to parks and trails funds may not be used in situations where eminent domain was used. That's taken out. Now government entities would be able to use eminent domain with these funds to take property away from Minnesotans to accomplish whatever it is that unit of government's goal is. While there are some good things in this bill, like there is in a lot of bills, there's unfortunately more bad than good. And this is one of the most partisan legacy bills I've seen again in my time I've been here. And I appreciate the hard work that the conference committee put in and that Senator Hur's committee did on the Senate side before it got to conference. But unfortunately today I would request a no vote.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I want to assure the body that the language that we have been seeing in all of our budget bills regarding grants is intact. And you will see a consolidated and harmonized issue that includes the input of members of this body and the House come through in the state and local government omnibus budget bill, and it will apply to all of the agencies. And so instead of seeing it in every bill, there will be one uniform, harmonized, and agreed upon approach that will then apply to all our state agencies. And I just want Senator Eichhorn and the members of this body to know that work, which has been important for this body, will be intact in this legislation and in this legislature. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Housley.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Senator Eichhorn said pretty much what I was going to say, the notable changes that happened in conference committee. I want to thank Senator Herr for having me on the conference committee. It was disappointing that some of the things that were in the bill that when it left here in the Senate got either stripped out or the additions from the House came on. I am going to take Senator Murphy at her word that that language that was taking out preventing funding to be given to organizations that had a civil or criminal sexual assault harassment judgment against them will be truly in all of these agency bills across the board. Senator Herr assured me that during conference committee that that language will be put in across the board. So just wanted to make that comment on the coming back from the conference committee, the legacy bill. Thank you.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to request a roll call, and then I've got some stuff to say.
Roll call requested, roll call granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to applaud Senator Herr for this bill. There's $40 million in here to the Department of Agriculture to help farmers create more sustainable futures. Minnesota's farmers are ready to lead to create a greener, more sustainable future, and this bill has resources to help them do that. We've got $6 million in here for Forever Green. Members, if you ever have an opportunity and you want to learn more about what is happening in Minnesota agriculture and technology, go hang out at the U and learn more about the Forever Green Institute and drink some kerns of beer. It's amazing what they're doing there, and I'm so grateful to Senator Herr for supporting the Forever Green initiative. I also want to point out the $3 million in soil health equipment grants. Farmers need help to switch to new equipment that helps them become better stewards of their land, and this bill provides that resource, and I'm grateful to Senator Herr for that as well. And last, there's $3 million in here for a state weather station. One of the things we don't realize is that as technology advances in agriculture, we get to use less fertilizer and less pesticides because we can be smarter about how we use them. And this initiative is going to help a great deal with that. So I just wanted to thank Senator Herr for everything this bill is doing for Minnesota's farmers.
Senator Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and members. There's a lot to like in this bill. Much of it's already been mentioned. Appreciate the Forever Green. I also want to call out the Stopple Farm at Olmsted, in Olmsted County at the Olmsted Historical Society. That is a terrific project to carry on that legacy of that very, very early first farm in Olmsted County. So I appreciate that. And I also appreciated Senator Herr for accepting the amendment on the floor when the bill passed off of this body. And that bill, that amendment would have precluded or would not have allowed projects to be funded through Arts and Legacy Parks and Trails that were using eminent domain. I'm sad to see that amendment stripped out because I don't believe that any of us who have been huge supporters of parks and trails and legacy funding, I don't recall anyone ever saying or standing or believing that those legacy dollars should be used for eminent domain. And so, while there are many things to like in this bill, I would be remiss if I did not call out the misuse, the potential misuse of allowing legacy funds for parks and trails to be used on projects that use eminent domain. I just do not think that was ever part of our discussion. Thank you.
Senator Jaskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Herr yield for a question?
Senator Herr, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Jaskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Herr. Senator Herr, can you tell us how many acres of land that the state government is going to buy and place into public ownership, and they're going to buy from the private sector with this bill? And then how many acres of easements, perpetual easements, does this bill place into easement and tell the people of Minnesota they can never use again?
Senator Herr.
Mr. President, thank you, Senator Jaskowski, for asking me that question. That's a very, very prompt question, and I don't have a prompt answer for you, but right off the bat, but I certainly can get you that information in a few minutes, if you would wait, but I'll stop it here and see if you have the second follow-up question.
Senator Jaskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I will come back with a question maybe in a few minutes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional questions? Senator Jaskowski, just to make sure that you wanted to wait until you could get that information, is that what you're asking us for? Senator Herr, if you would be so kind as to get that information and let us know when you're ready. Any other discussions so that we can make sure we use our time wisely? Another option, Senator Jaskowski, is that we could bring the report before us before it's, formally adopted. And therefore, you can still get your question answered because we can't do any amendments anyway, so I just want to make sure that we are in the right place. Are you okay with that? Okay. So once we get to third reading, I'll still pause and let you get your answer. To the motion made by Senator Herr, I think a roll call was requested. Roll call was requested. Roll call granted. The secretary would take the roll. Members, please vote.
Just get it to the calendar and then, yeah.
I'm kind of wavering over the energy budget.
Okay.
What does this body just tell you?
Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes no.
Senator Draheim votes no. All senators having voted who desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 39 ayes and 24 noes, the committee report is before us and is adopted. Third reading. The secretary will give the committee report its third reading.
House File Number 1999, a bill for an act relating to state government, appropriating money from outdoor heritage, clean water, parks and trails, and arts and cultural heritage funds, etc.
Third reading. Senator Hur, are you prepared now? Or while we're waiting for Senator Hur, any other questions or any other discussion on third reading? If not, we will pause. Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thought I would say everything that I had to say about this bill, I said when it went off the House. It's very, very disappointing that it came back in even worse shape than it was when it left. The eminent domain is a huge issue. To not have that in there, I fought for many years to try to get that into not only this bill but others, where the state can come in and just confiscate someone's property for some of these projects is just ridiculous. That in itself is enough to not vote for this bill. I don't even believe that's constitutional in this aspect. But the other thing that I had brought up before, and as long as we have time, I'll mention again, and I will be short, is the lack of accountability that is put on this bill. I would venture to guess that most of the people in this body don't have any idea what's in this bill. The past projects that have been funded, the amount of land that's been purchased, and I'll wait for Senator Hur on that as well. He can answer that himself, but it's massive. Not only in the land purchases for fee, but also the easements that are taking place that now will no longer be accessible to young folks that want to own their own property. One of the American dream is to be able to own your own property. We're one of the few countries in the world that allows that, and we're taking it away. And so this has always been a thorn in my side with this bill. It was proposed when it first came in 2008, actually in 2006 when it first came out, but when it passed in 2008, it was trumpeted as the Clean Water Legacy Act. But the clean water is only a small portion of it. And the Clean Water Council has done a good job in the past, but every year when I see this bill come forward, or every 2 years when it comes forward, it appears that there's less and less money being spent on actual projects and more going into agencies and university for more and more studies. And so we're not getting our bang for the buck. We're not at all being responsible when we put money into the State Arts Board and say, here, spend it the way you want, come after you're done and tell us what you spent it on. So I'm encouraging a no vote on the bill today. I think that we are to be responsible for this money. We're over $750 million now every 2 years on this, and it just sails through and nobody seems to care. And so I'm hoping that we can send a message not only to the legislature and the Lessard Sands Council, but also Minnesotans, that if we're going to be taking your money, because this comes from everybody's pocket, and if we're going to be taking this money, that your legislators are taking it very seriously, and we're going to make sure it's spent in a way that you want it to be spent. We're going to dig in and be responsible and look at all these projects and make decisions based on how this has been spent in the past and where we should go in the future. So I encourage a no vote. Thank you. And I'll wait for Senator Hur's answers on the land purchases and easements.
Any additional discussion before we hear back from Senator Hur? Senator Hur.
Mr. President, appreciate all the comments thus far, and also going back to the question that Senator Trzaskey has asked me about the amount of acres in terms of acquisition and the amount of easement in terms of acres. I do have the number here, thanks to our research that support our Senate. The acres is for land acquisition is 6,763 acres, and the easement acre is 7,426 acres.
Senator Jaskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Hur. As I suspected, in reading the bill, listening to the debate, and looking at the history of this bill, and the bills that have been passed by past legislatures in this area, Mr. President. I don't know to the extent that the people of Minnesota know about the use of this money. And in the legacy bill, we continue to see an effort come forward to use a significant amount of this bill. Mr. President, just in the Outdoor Heritage Fund area alone, this bill spends $230 million over the next 2 years. $230 million of the people's money. This is sales tax money that has been taken from every Minnesotan and every visitor that has visited and bought anything here. This is a big, huge pile of money, and so much of it is used to buy more and more land. As Senator Herr pointed out, 6,763 acres of land that will no longer be available for people in our state to purchase, to recreate on, to put their form of conservation on, to grow things on, to do the things that they want to do to see the American dream. Easement 7,426 acres. Mr. President, our state DNR doesn't currently have the ability to properly manage the land that this state owns. As a matter of fact, Mr. President, there was a legislative audit conducted on March 5th, 2010, and we haven't done another one since on state ownership of land. I'm going to read the paragraph of the findings of the overall report to the members. It says, this was March 5th, 2010. Our evaluation found that while its long-range plans propose significant future land acquisitions, the Department of Natural Resources appears to lack adequate resources to manage and maintain its current land holdings. That, Mr. President, was in 2010. The report recommends that the department prepare long-range budget plans for the legislature that compare the ongoing land management needs to available funding. These analyses will help the legislature assess the financial feasibility of acquiring additional land. So since 2010, Mr. President, there have been many of these bills that have come forward. Nearly all of them have spent in the neighborhood of 6,000 to 12,000, or bought 6,000 to 12,000 acres of land, each and every bill. And back in 2010, the government didn't then have the ability to even manage the land that it had. The noxious weeds on the state land are still growing there, even though we have noxious weed laws, and we direct the department on behalf of the citizens of Minnesota to properly manage their land. In this report, it points out they aren't able to even do that. That was in 2010. 2010. It's 2023. Members, we're 13 years down the road, and we continue to buy more and more land, when back in 2010, the DNR didn't even have the ability to manage the land we had then. Members, we're going the wrong direction with this money. We need to find a way to protect the resources we have without the idea that government is the person or the individual is the entity that needs to own the land, because members, government doesn't have the capacity to properly manage the land we have. And that's the reality in a legislative audit report from 2010. It's a reality today. It's exacerbated by the fact we bought tens and tens of thousands of acres of more land since, and we continue to do it in this bill. The people of Minnesota, Mr. President, can manage the land they own better than our state government does. We shouldn't be burdening an inept state government with more and more land. The people of Minnesota can do a much better job managing the resources of this state than the DNR can. I encourage a no vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional discussions? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll on final passage of the committee report for House File 1999. Members, please vote. Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye. Senator Jasinski, when you're ready. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes no.
Senator Draheim votes no. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There have been 40 ayes and 24 noes. The bill is passed and is title agreed to as amended by the conference committee. Continue on messages from the House. The secretary will read the next message. Senator Fateh.
I got to read it.
Oh, he has to read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House has adopted the recommendation and report of the Conference Committee on House File number 2073 and repassed said bill in accordance with the report of the committee, so adopted. House File number 2073, a bill for an act relating to higher education. House File number 2073 is herewith transmitted to the Senate. Signed, Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Fateh for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members. I move that the foregoing recommendations and Conference Committee report on HF 2073 be now adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
Senator Fateh moves that the foregoing recommendations and Conference Committee reports on House File 2073 be now adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee. Senator Fateh to that motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll try to be brief. This bill has a lot of the similar provisions that was already passed on this floor, and we included some provisions that were passed and adopted by the House floor yesterday. Some of the new House provisions includes the Next Generation Nursing Initiative, which appropriates money to coordinate and implement the Next Generation Nursing Assistant Training Program. We included the Paramedic Scholarship Program. We included as well the Addiction Medicine Graduate Medical Education Fellowship. We have money for the Unemployment Insurance Aid. We have included, and a lot of members have asked me about this, the tuition freeze component. Min-state operations and maintenance appropriation were $25 million in 24 and $50 million in fiscal year 25 will be used to freeze tuition and student tuition relief. The tails includes $37.5 million as well. Additionally, we had members ask about University of Minnesota safety and security, and we have included $10 million for system-wide safety and security for the University of Minnesota. So I'm really proud about this bill, Mr. President. It includes the tuition-free component for families making less than $80,000 a year. We also included the Pell Match piece because we know that college is unaffordable, not just because of the tuition, but because of the cost of being a student. So that Pell Match piece will go towards housing. It'll go towards things like transportation and their basic needs. I'm proud that we have expanded the emergency assistant grants to include all the public colleges, and we also expanded the Hunger-Free Campus program to include the private colleges. In addition to that, for the state program, we increased the state grant living and miscellaneous expense allowance from 109% to 115% of the federal poverty guidelines, and we also increased the lifetime cap for the state grant program to 180 credits. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional discussion?
And I request a roll call, Mr. President.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, the secretary will take the roll. Members, please vote Senator Murphy for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye.
And Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Jasinski for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes no.
Senator Draheim votes no. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 34 ayes and 30 noes, the committee report is adopted. The secretary will give the the committee report its third reading.
House File Number 2073, a bill for an act relating to higher education, providing funding and policy-related changes for the Office of Higher Education, Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, the University of Minnesota, and the Mayo Clinic, etc.
Third reading. Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, a couple things. I was really hoping this bill was going to come back from conference better than it left here, and unfortunately, in my opinion, Mr. President, it has not. One of the key features of the bill that it was talked about is a piece that I struggle with. We're investing a lot of money to help approximately 15,000 students. We heard the need throughout committee, great needs that are out there, and yet our major focus is going to be on 15,000 students. And unfortunately, some of these same students that we're targeting with this bill, there are all kinds of private foundations and groups and scholarships that are out there helping them, and I just struggle to see why we would thwart their efforts instead of taking a broader range at working on this. And one of the other things we hear about, Mr. President, is, tuition, but yet University of Minnesota, under this proposal, will be raising tuitions. It's just a couple of other things. One other provision. It's hard to not see this as rewarding some schools that have been struggling and failing these last few years, and those schools who took the ways to deal with what was in front of them in the best way possible have actually grown enrollments, and they're being punished. And so I just struggle with some of the approaches that have been taken in this bill. It doesn't seem like we're helping the most number of students that we can in giving them the ability to take dollars to use as they best see fit for their education needs, where they want to go for those education needs. And so, Mr. President, I would recommend a no vote on the conference committee report.
Any additional discussion? Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to point out and thank Senator Fateh for his investment in our 3 tribal colleges here in Minnesota, Leech Lake, the Red Lake College, and White Earth. Historically, our Native kids have graduated at lowest rates of any other group. Close to 41% of our Native students need almost 6 years to graduate, and that's compared to 63% of their white counterparts. Less than 10% of our Native kids receive associate degrees, and only 16% had bachelor degrees or higher. But the really great thing is that those numbers are starting to come up. And they're starting to come up because we have recognized the value of investing not just in our early learning in our elementary schools, high schools, but also at that secondary level. We know that poverty and lack of support, oftentimes culture clashes, and those social risk factors that are also addressed in this bill have made it very difficult for our students, our Native students, not only to get into the colleges, but to stay in the colleges and eventually earn that degree and move on to the kind of life we all want with prosperity and economic security. Today is American Indian Day on the Hill, and we had a fabulous gathering this morning. It was good to see one of my counterparts in the House, who is closely associated with one of our senators there, joining in to learn more about the work that we are doing here at the Capitol as it addresses our indigenous communities, and this is just an absolutely fabulous way to do it. I appreciate, and our communities appreciate, the $1 million investments in those three higher learning institutes. And so, members, I would ask you to please vote green on this bill, and let's make sure that the generations of the past have those resources to succeed like everyone else.
Senator Kupik.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm excited to pass this bill. I'm also excited to see the paramedic scholarship put back in to the bill. That was a bill that I had sponsored. Also, the fact that there is money being increased for the state grant to not only help our private colleges, but also our state universities, which have been not doing so well in recent years. Part of the reason why they have not been doing well is we're supposed to be funding them at about 65%, and we have not been living up to that. So this is going to be a big help to them, including some of the stabilization money for Minnesota State University Moorhead in my home district, which has been running a budget deficit. This will help them get back on track, and we need these institutions as we move forward. They are the ones for especially those first generation college students. The Minnesota state system is so important to them and so important also to our workforce to provide the workers that we are going to need going forward. So I'm very excited to be a yes vote on this bill.
Senator Hochschild.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to talk a little bit about the Natural Resources Research Institute up in the Northland. This is a really critical piece of the U of M research in our region, looking at mining, looking at forestry, looking at all the things that make our region strong. And in this bill, there's an inclusion of an increase in base funding to $4 million for this research institute. There's over 100 scientists that are employed at this research institute looking at everything from mining and forestry. So I appreciate this inclusion and look forward to it helping our region. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, going into this, I was really hoping that this would be a bill that I could support. I have a couple of colleges in my district, and there are a number of provisions that I'm excited about. In addition to the provisions that Senator Kunish and Senator Hochschild mentioned, I'm excited about the inclusive education. I'm excited about the Minnesota Independence Community College, but my biggest concern has to do with the North Star Promise. And my concern is that seems to be a very arbitrary number, $80,000. And so I looked into this a little bit. And just as an example, so I looked, because we're in St. Paul, I looked at the St. Paul schools teacher salary scale, just to see who may or may not qualify for this free college education. And a teacher in St. Paul schools with 14 years or 15 years of service at the master's level would make about $86,168 a year. And if that was the only income for the family, if they had a few deductions, then their adjusted gross income would fall below that $80,000. And so their children would then qualify for this free college. And I think about other people who, maybe there's a single parent, a single mother or father who works a full-time job in a factory, and they get up and they go to work at 5 in the morning, and they get off at 1 or 2, and they go to a second job, and because they're trying to make a better life for their family. And then maybe on weekends they're working a third job. And because they've worked so hard, their income is above that $80,000. And Mr. President, it seems to me that with that arbitrary $80,000 threshold, we are punishing that person who is working 2 or 3 jobs to try and create a better life for their family. And so that's why I will not be supporting this. Even though there's a lot of good things in this, I think this needs to go back to conference because we can do a better job of making sure that that funding goes to the most possible students. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussions on House File 2073 as amended by the Conference Committee? Senator Umu Verbaden.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been such a joy to serve on the Higher Education Committee and on the Conference Committee as well. I just want to thank Senator Fateh for including the investment in our tribal colleges, that historic investment that Senator Kunish spoke to. I'm so excited about the North Star Promise and that our students have a pathway to college and that they can afford. They're not going to have to worry about if their family can afford to make that really crucial investment in them. Thank you for including the emergency assistant grant so that our students have support with all of the costs of college, and of course for menstrual equity, and ensuring that our higher institutions are going to provide those menstrual products to students free of charge. I'm really excited to vote for this bill. Thank you.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, just like many of the bills that we're seeing on the floor, they're not exactly the bill that I would write or the bill that I would choose, but I do want to mention some of the very important aspects in the omnibus higher education appropriations. Some that I think surely have been mentioned. Certainly the state grant is how so many of our kids, our students, are able to afford and go to college. I think it's important that we continue to fund the state grant. I also appreciated the child care grants. One of the best things we can do is make sure that our moms, our dads are able to get the education they need so they can get the jobs that are going to help them support their families well. So I think those child care grants are important. You know, there's a couple shortages that we have in the state, and I think this bill addresses some of those. One, we have a shortage of family medicine doctors in our state, and I appreciate the family medicine residency program being funded in this bill. Also, the support for our teachers, our ag educators, and our aviation students. Again, shortages in all those areas, and I think this bill helps fund those areas. But one that I want to mention specifically, I just did on last Friday a ride-around with the Dodge County ambulance, and I learned so much, and I saw firsthand the shortages that we have for paramedics. And I particularly appreciate including paramedic scholarships in this bill. Those are life-saving additions, folks, to make sure that we have the trained paramedics that we need so that they can reach you or your loved ones in those very first few minutes, those life-saving minutes of a medical emergency. So I appreciate Senator Fateh for adding those things into the bill today.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say very briefly, second some of the things that have already been said by pulling them together in a sense and saying that this bill does great things for Greater Minnesota. And I appreciate that in a great deal, especially with the founding of the resources that are going to be there to help found a new medical school in St. Cloud. That is going to revolutionize our capacity and our ability to treat the health of Greater Minnesotans. The health of rural Minnesotans, which we know is a profound and compelling concern. So I want to celebrate that component of this bill, and thank Senator Fateh for his work to make Greater Minnesota even greater.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I am thrilled with this bill, and I just want to say such a huge thank you to Senator Fateh and to all of the staff who put so much work into this bill. I am thrilled with how this has come out, and I can't say enough how excited I am to see this come across the finish. There are pieces of this bill that are game changers and remind us that when we decide to do it, we can do big things, great things, things that will put us out on the vanguard, things that will lead our nation and really show how when people come together, we can provide for one another and create an amazing society that all of our citizens deserve. So I know those are speaking in broad strokes, but I really feel that this is what this deserves. The work that has gone into the bill and the product that has come out from that work is astounding. So I want to thank Senator Fateh and encourage all of us to stand in support of the bill. Thank you.
Senator Fateh.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to say thank you to all of my fellow hired committee members, Senator Putnam, Senator Kupek, Senator Murphy, Senator Verbeyen, Senator Duckworth, Rarick, and Farnsworth. We had a great time this year in the committee. I had phenomenal partners, and this is a result of all of their hard work on both sides. So I want to say thank you all so much. And also want to say thank you to the staff. And also my committee administrator, Sam, who spent countless hours to make sure that this became a reality, worked hard, spent a lot of weekends also, and taking my phone calls at all odd hours, so thank you so much. I'm really excited about this bill because I truly, truly believe that this is the most transformational and impactful higher education budget in our nation. And as Minnesota, we will be leading the way and saying that we will support all of our students. For far too long, we've had higher ed budgets that did a little bit for O&M, operation and maintenance, but it was not centered around the student needs. And when it's not centered around student needs, the schools fail. And when schools fail, our communities fail. And when our communities fail, our state fails. So this is a step right now. And I know that there was a lot of talk around the higher ed cliff with the cap being at 80,000. I'm more than happy to work with you to make it universal because that is also my ultimate goal. But this is a damn good first step because right now we know that communities of color especially make well less than $80,000, and this will help a lot of them. And I've spoken to my members, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side, saying that their districts that they represent, their community members make well below $80,000, whether it's in Moorhead or Bemidji or wherever. This will help a lot of families. And the biggest issue that we've been having is that not only was school not affordable, it was simply not an option for students. And it was not an option, for our working class families and our students of color. But today, this changes that. And that's why I'm extremely proud because we're opening our doors for all of our students. All of them are able to attend our public colleges, our Mid-State schools and the U of M. And we're making a promise to them that if they work hard, that we're gonna cover your tuition, and we're gonna go beyond that. We're gonna have a Pell Match because we learned from you, the students, that school is much more expensive, is expensive not just because of tuition, but because of the costs of living on campus and being a student. So with the Pell Match, it will address housing, it'll address transportation, it'll address the full needs. I'm extremely proud of the work that Senator Putnam has put on to expand the Hunger-Free Campus program. We're making sure that we're expanding it for all of our colleges, and we're including our private colleges too, to ensure that no student has to go hungry on any of our campuses. We have emergency assistance grants so that if a student has a medical emergency or a medical bill or a flat tire that they cannot afford, that we're gonna help cover that for them. The goal of this bill is to make sure that our students are able to focus solely on being a student because we understand that when they struggle, when they have their challenges that are not met, that it affects their academic performance. And we've heard from students that disproportionately, again, our BIPOC students have been dropping out. And we know that we can save our communities and save our schools simply by turning around the dropout rate, by keeping and retaining our schools. So what this bill does is it opens the doors for all of our students, and once they're in, we're gonna support them till the end. We're gonna make sure that they get a degree, and we address the workforce shortages that we all love to talk about. This is the way to do it, by supporting our students. So a vote yes for this shows that you care about all of our students, our working class students and our BIPOC students. So thank you all so much, and I urge a green vote.
The Secretary will take the roll on final passage of House File 2073 as amended by the Conference Committee. Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye.
And Senator French votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes no.
Senator Draheim votes no. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 34 ayes and 30 noes, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members remaining under the order of business of motions and resolutions, Senator Disick to designate special orders.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made special orders for immediate consideration, and the list is on your desk.
Senator Disick, thank you so much. That special orders list is on our desk, and we're going to start with General Orders Number 13, House File 1126, Fateh, certain policy changes, provisions to post-secondary attainment goals, student financial aid, institutional licensure provisions, and institutional grant programs. To that notion, House File 1126, Senator Fateh.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief about this again. This is a technical bill, some corrections that was given by OHE, the Office of Higher Education. It passed unanimously in committee and in the floor of the other body. And I believe that Senator Hochschild has an amendment to this bill.
Any other discussions on the bill? Senator Hochschild.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the A1 amendment.
Senator Hochschild offers the A1 amendment. The Secretary will report the A1 amendment.
Senator Hochschild moves to amend House File Number 1126 as amended pursuant to Rule 45 as follows. Page 7, line 8, delete 1A and insert 1B. This is the A1 amendment. Senator
Hochschild to the A1.
Thank you, Mr. President. The 1851 charter, which formed the University of Minnesota, included lands granted by the United States Congress. A significant portion of the permanent university land contains valuable deposits of iron ore and taconite. Revenue from this land is deposited into an account known as the Permanent University Fund. The permanent university funds are specific and exclusive to the University of Minnesota, and the income must be used to extend the mission of the U of M. This amendment seeks to update language in one of the 4 portions of that fund. These updates do not adversely affect other entities or funds, and there is no fiscal note. These edits only impact one portion of the state statute, a portion that is already designated to UMD as part of the U of M system. The goal is to modernize the language and stay true to the original intent of the legislation, which was to support workforce development in mining and mining-related fields. The way the language was originally written, the funding in the endowment could only be used for one singular engineering program, which currently only provides scholarships to 5 students. There are financial resources available in this fund that cannot be used right now, and these changes would provide scholarships to well over 300 students in northeastern Minnesota earning bachelor's or master's degrees in STEM. With these minor updates, the university can effectively use the available resources for optimal impacts in northeastern Minnesota now and into the future. I ask members to vote green.
Any other discussion on the A1 amendment? All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no.
I request a roll call, Mr. President.
You can't ask for a roll call once we've already started. The amendment is not adopted. Division card. We will now do a division. You must remain standing at your desk if you want to be counted. So those who are for the amendment, come to the, please stand, and we'll give the others an opportunity to come into the room. Members, please remember, if you want to be counted, you must be standing at your desk. Those who are in favor, you can sit. Now, those opposed, you can stand if you want to be counted. You may be seated. The A1 amendment passes. You know the vote?
Mr. President, point of order. What's the vote count on that, please?
26 to 25. Any other discussions or any other amendments on House File 1126? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 1126, a bill for an act relating to higher education, providing for certain policy changes to post-secondary attainment goals, etc.
Third reading. Any other discussion on House File 1126 as amended? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third, the Secretary will take the roll on House File 1126. Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Friends votes aye.
Senator Friends votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes no.
Senator Draheim votes no. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There have been 42 ayes and 21 noes. The bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, We will now go to General Orders number 134, House File 2204, Senator Rest, redistricting provisions of the Metropolitan Council districts. To that notion, Senator Rest.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. House File 2204 is a response to the requirement that the legislature redraw the boundaries of the Met Council districts every 10 years in the year that ends in 3. And that has been done in this bill. You have the accompanying map on your desks, as well as you can find it on the GIS website. The map was developed with a couple of principles in mind. One, to keep generally communities of interest and similarities together, suburbs with suburbs, the big cities together on their own, and so forth within our 7-county metropolitan area. Bill is an attempt to equalize the Metropolitan Council district populations following the past decade's population expansion. And that population grew by 11%. So this bill addresses that growth in the drawing the new districts. Each new district represents, in the 16 Met Council districts, close to 198,000 people. And we tried, this is an attempt to have the populations as equal as possible, with a deviation of 0.85. A larger deviation is otherwise permitted. The deviation of the largest district is something like 1.65%, and trying very hard not to split up cities unless it's unavoidable. And in the instance of this plan, split cities include Edina, Maplewood, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Woodbury, and also trying to have stability within the existing districts. The map also redraws the Metropolitan Airports Commission district for districts A through H. There are no overlapping members of the council who were appointed in March. Passing this keeps the people who were appointed in March in their current district, and there are no overlapping Metropolitan Airports Commission members as well. Appreciate your support.
Any other discussion on House File 2204? Seeing none, the Secretary will give House File 2204 its third reading.
House File number 2204, a bill for an act relating to metropolitan government, providing for redistricting of the Metropolitan Council districts, etc.
Third reading. Any additional discussion on House File 2204? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll. Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Friends votes aye.
Senator Friends votes aye. Senator Jasinski, those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There have been 60 ayes and 5 noes. The bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, we will now go to General Orders number 133, which is House File 1370, which is Senator Maye Quade's bill, Cause of Action Establishment for Non-Consensual Dissemination of Deep Fake Sexual Images. To that notion, Senator Maye Quade.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and esteemed colleagues. Today I rise to introduce a critical piece of legislation that will protect the people of Minnesota from the insidious threat of deepfake technology. This bill aims to prohibit this dissemination of deepfake sexual images and the use of deepfake technology to influence an election. As we all know, deepfake technology has the potential to wreak havoc on our society. With the ability to create realistic videos or images that are manipulated to depict people doing things that they never actually did, deepfake technology has the power to damage reputations, ruin lives, and even threaten the integrity of our democracy. One of the most disturbing uses of deepfake technology is the creation and distribution of sexually explicit images and videos of individuals without their consent. These images and videos can be used to harass, blackmail, or extort individuals, causing immeasurable harm to their personal and professional lives. It is unacceptable that this kind of behavior is allowed to continue, and we must take action to prevent it. Furthermore, this bill seeks to address the growing threat of deepfake technology used to influence our elections. We've already seen examples of foreign adversaries using deepfake technology to create false information and spread it throughout social media in an attempt to manipulate the outcome of our elections, and we cannot allow this to continue. So this bill will make it illegal to use deepfake technology to create false information for the purposes of influencing an election. And in conclusion, members, I urge you to support this piece of legislation. We must take action to protect the people of Minnesota from the harms of deepfake technology. We have a responsibility to ensure that our elections are free and fair, and that our citizens are not subjected to harassment, blackmail, or extortion through the use of deepfake sexual images. Let us work together to pass this bill and safeguard the integrity of our democracy. Thank you.
Any additional
Mr. President, I'm not done, sorry. Mr. President, everything I just read was actually produced for me by AI. I put a prompt into ChatGPT and asked them to produce a speech for me on a bill prohibiting the dissemination of sexual deepfake technology or imagery or a deepfake about an election. The advancement of AI has been incredibly fast. 5 years ago, it would have taken a lot of money and time, a producing studio, to create a realistic AI depiction of someone doing something that they actually did not do. Today, just 2 months ago, there were ads that popped up on Facebook and Instagram that promoted an app that allowed any user to upload a single photo of one person's face, and they could have a bunch of deepfake videos in seconds. This app was for free. It was being marketed to children ages 9 and up, and there is something being distributed that shows a very, very famous actress, and I won't use her name, who was used in this ad for what the video came to be. That's something I would never email to any of you. 96% of deepfake material online is pornographic in nature. This is an incredibly important bill. It is a first step. We have not truly begun to grapple with the ways in which technology and AI advancement is going to harm society, but this is a really, really good first step for us today. It is 2 specific, narrow provisions prohibiting the use of deep fakes for sexual imagery and also prohibiting deep fakes to influence an election 90 days before an election. And with that, Mr. President, I'd like to offer the A2 amendment.
Senator Maye Quade offers the A2 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Maye Quade moves to amend House File Number 1370 as amended pursuant to Rule 45 as follows. Page 4, line 8, after the semicolon, insert or. This is the A2 amendment.
Senator Maye Quade, to your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this amendment removes some exceptions for the dissemination of deepfake sexual imagery. The current exceptions would be for parody, satire, commentary, or criticism, or political or newsworthy value. I cannot think of any exception that there should be in our laws for disseminating deepfake sexual imagery. So this removes those provisions.
Senator Klein.
Mr. President, I request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to rise in favor of this and encourage members to vote green to remove these provisions from the bill to strengthen the bill. Thank you.
All those in favor? Oh, roll call was requested, roll call granted. Any other discussion on the A2? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll. Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There have been 63 ayes and 0 noes. The A2 amendment is adopted. Any additional discussion on House File 1370? Senator Lucero. And we haven't gone to third reading unless you want us to proceed to third reading. Then you will be more than welcome to speak. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading as amended.
House File Number 1370, a bill for an act relating to public safety establishing a cause of action for non-consensual dissemination of deepfake sexual images.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to rise in favor of this bill. And I appreciate Senator Maye Quade and her efforts on this topic and bringing attention to this. And I would Mr. President, draw yours and everybody else's attention to the co-authors on this bill. So you have a Maye Quade, Lucero, Limmer, Dibble, Gustafson bill. You can't get more bipartisan than that. This is a very, very important topic. So digital misrepresentation, or as this bill is calling it, deepfake, is something that has been on the horizon for a number of years. I first introduced a bill on this topic back when I was a member of the other body approximately 6 years ago, again under the description of digital misrepresentation. Back then, as this was on the horizon, the technology to artificially engineer or create, whether it be a video, a picture, or a voice or audio, was something that was only available to very high-end technology such as businesses or nation states. But as time has gone on here, the technology has become available to almost everybody. And through artificial intelligence and other technological means, developing artificial or manipulating perhaps existing video, picture, or audio to manufacture something that somebody, or to portray something or that somebody may have done is a threat not just to elected officials, not just to those who might be in other prominent positions throughout society, but every single person in this state and across the country. And so there's the old adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But when we have technology now that is able to engineer, artificially create a picture, it is very difficult to be able to explain or defend that such a depiction is not reality. And so that's why bringing this bill forward, there are areas of this that I hope to in the future come back and strengthen, but we need to get something into law under the recognition that technology continues to advance, and we need to protect all Minnesotans who might become victims of those that seek to use technology or artificial intelligence to threaten, harass, or depict in any way, humiliate anybody. And so, Mr. President, again, I encourage a green vote. Thank you.
Any additional discussions before I go to the author of the bill to be the last voice? Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Senator Maye Quade for bringing this issue before the legislature. I also want to thank Senator Lucero for his early focus on it as well when he was a member of the other body. This issue of artificial intelligence is going to affect us in so many ways. There'll be benefits to it, but there'll also be severe dangers to it. And quite honestly, Senator Maye Quade's bill is on the cutting edge of this. It's laying a foundation, and the foundation is we will protect our public from misrepresentation, both visually and in any other manner. It's vitally important that we get moving in this direction because the industry is quantum leaps ahead of us. And it's always a catch-up in trying to keep the legislative policies in alignment with the technology that's advancing so very quickly. I particularly want to thank Senator Maye Quade for creating what I think is a model bipartisan piece of legislation. And quite honestly, it's a lot more fun to have bipartisan legislation than having those strident differences. But being a member of the Legislative Commission on Data Practices that will be meeting throughout the interim, I'm hoping we can revisit this issue and see any improvements that we could do, not only on this concept, but as well as getting more familiar with other high-tech advances that are coming and rushing on our society. So thank you, Senator Maye Quade. Thank you, Senator Lucero. and I hope for a strong bipartisan vote. Thank you.
Senator Weissenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't see problems with the bill. I did talk to a few members on my side about the concern I have is just the civil penalty. I want to see that higher, so I think there's work to do, and it sounds like they'll be working on that through the summer. So that'll be my no vote, because I want to see those fines much more so people aren't going to try to abuse this. So thank you.
Senator Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say thank you to Senator Maye Quade for bringing this bill forward and echo what Senator Lucero said. I think it's a pretty strong bill if you have that list of co-authors on it, and I look forward to doing more of those things together with all of you. I'm continue to be saddened and disappointed at new ways that we can all hurt each other, especially when it comes to domestic violence and assault, sexual assault specifically of women and others. But the thing that I'm most drawn to about this bill is the fact that it's linked to elections. Right now, it is so hard to get completely qualified and some overqualified women to run for office on both sides of the aisle, mostly because they have the fear of all of the terrible things that can happen to them once they decide that they're going to put their hat into the ring and join public service. It's sad. It's something that should be addressed. This is one really, really good step forward. So thank you, Senator Maye Quade. And vote green.
As the last voice before we would vote, that would be Senator Maye Quade.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I want to echo my colleagues on the floor. This has been a very, very strong bipartisan process. I want to thank Senator Lucero for sitting in the retiring room and sitting in offices and sitting in committee rooms and really digging into the language with this with me, thank you, for Senator Limmer showing me other examples of deepfakes that we've actually seen. There was a professional racer who was injured, and somebody did a deepfake interview where he was talking about his injury. He's still in a coma, I believe. He's not awake yet. I want to thank this list of co-authors. I want to thank Senator Barr and Senator Curran for bringing forward really, really strong suggestions. We will have more work to do on this. Senator Weissenberg is right. Someone might look at $10,000 and say, hey, that's nothing. I can destroy a whole life and it'll only cost me $10,000. This is a really, really good first step. This puts us ahead of harm we have not quite yet seen in the state of Minnesota, and I'm so, so glad about that. We will continue to work on this to make sure that we are protecting Minnesotans. I urge members to vote green. Thank you.
The Secretary would take the roll on final passage of House File 1370 as amended. Senator Murphy, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Paz votes aye.
Senator Paz votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye.
And Senator Frentz votes aye.
Mr. President.
Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 64 ayes and 1 no. The bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, we will now go to the 13th order of business. For announcements of Senate interests. Any announcements of Senate interests? Senator Latz.
Mr. President and members, the Judiciary and Public Safety Conference Committee will reconvene at 2:30 p.m. in the conference committee room that we were in before over in the State Office building. The Judiciary and Public Safety Standing Committee that met at 8:30 this morning will reconvene at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. in room G23. Thank you.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Republicans will caucus at 3:23 following session.
Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session: Matthews all day, Pratt all day, Lang from 12:30 to 1:05 p.m., and Johnson from 1:50 to 2 p.m. Any additional announcements of Senate interest? Senator Umu Verbaden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to announce that the North Central States Regional Council of Carpenters and the 49ers are having their Minnesota Legislative Conference opening reception today at 5 p.m., 710 Olive Street. Hope that folks can make it.
Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Transportation Conference Committee will convene 30 minutes after adjournment, so in about 30 minutes from now at around 2:30. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional announcements of Senate interest? Seeing none, Senator Dziedzic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn until tomorrow, Thursday, May 11th at 11 a.m.
On that motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails and the Senate is now adjourned.